We're rolling.
This is the Town of Ledger, Connecticut Town Council Community Relations Committee special meeting of November 3rd at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to do a roll call. Councilor Solms.
Present.
Councilor Ingalls.
I am here.
For the record, I'd like to show that Councilor McGrattan is here, as is Roxanne Marr. I'd like to have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of September 1st, 2021.
So moved. Councilor Solms.
Councilor Solms moves. Do I have a second?
Counselor Ingalls seconds.
Councilor Ingalls seconds. Thank you very much. Any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Councilor Solms votes aye.
Councilor Washington votes aye. 3 ayes. Motion passes. Now, I'm going to ask the question. I know the answer. Are there any members of the public that want to speak or say something? Is that curiosity? Yep. Good. Moving on. Okay. Business. I want to do discussion and possible action and recommend the town council assign a town council liaison to the police department for matters involving community relations and to discontinue community relations committee. I want to open with 2 parts. It's kind of a 2-parter. I'd like to first talk about potential for a town council liaison to the police department. As the councilors are aware, they probably received a letter today. I won't go into the letter, the basis of the letter, but it was directed to the police department. It'll probably be something of discussion at a town council meeting. But that being said, and looking how we started the community relations, what kind of birthed this out and where we're at today. We've talked about youth services and things as it relates to services that are provided by the town. Youth services, senior citizen services, visiting nurses, youth services. But what drove this was really the unfortunate incident that took place with the police department out in Minneapolis, if I'm correct. And to that end, the interest has always really been around the police department for the most part. We've had very little individuals who have come to our open forums we provided, educational open forums on town services. So the discussion I want to have is the idea of having a liaison from the town council actually meet with the police department on some kind of regular basis just to see what's going on. I know that the purview of the police department is under the mayor, so I'm not sure if it's something we have to do through the mayor's office. Feel free to jump in with any comments or thoughts.
I have thoughts, and I understand I may actually have been the person who suggested the idea of a liaison to the police department, but I've given it some thought since this appeared on the agenda, and I have several comments. One, I have an active role in communicating with the police department on several levels. One, I was intimately involved in the move from a state trooper program to our independent police department and recruiting police chief Rich, which took a long time, and I'm very proud of the fact that we got him here. So given that background, I stay in regular contact with the chief. I'm also the town council's liaison or representative when the town general government bargains with the unions. So I believe that I have a strong and a good relationship with the police department and the officers. I also communicate with the HR director, Don Steinhoff, on a regular basis regarding police matters, personnel and otherwise, as well as bargaining. So I kind of feel like I have a pretty close relationship and finger on the pulse, if you will, with the police department. That said, I don't believe we should have a liaison to the police department because, as you said, Chairman Washington, the police department reports to the mayor. And I think it would muddy the waters to have this liaison. I mean, that's not a reporting relationship. I'm not sure what it is. But we, the council, regularly get letters and texts from residents. We see Facebook posts about the police department and other council matters. So I think there's a regular channel, multiple regular channels of communication regarding the police department and other departments in the town with the town council. And I'm just not convinced people would use this liaison any more than they use any other channel to communicate regarding police matters. We also, as counselors, respond directly when we hear from people who contact us directly, either in person, Facebook, chats, texts, what have you. So I just don't, I think the liaison would add a layer of complexity that would just duplicate what we already have. So I'll stop there.
Mr. Ingalls?
I think I agree, and we've talked about this in other ways before, and I'm losing my my thought about which committee it was, but I think Councillor Solms is onto something when he points out it really could essentially add a layer of hierarchy that doesn't help anything. I was thinking though that the most fruitful conversation this committee had was with Chief Rich when we did the informational forum. It was the most well-attended forum we did, certainly informative. So my thought would be instead to, and you know, I'm reminded that the chief probably gives a report to the council at least annually. Most department heads do. But so my thought is to just make sure that we're doing that annually, at least, probably more often, and make sure the public is aware and make sure and have some open forum time.
Oh,
that might be a more accessible venue.
I would concur, because the issue, having thought about this, and as I said when he opened up, is that the police chief answers to the mayor first and foremost, because that's the chain of command. And as both Councillor Solms and Councillor Ingalls, you both noted, the purpose of a liaison would not be to get into that. A liaison wouldn't have the authority to do anything, and it's really about just making sure that the council, not knowing all the things that the Councillor Solms has been doing, has that interaction. I thought, as Councillor Ingalls had noted, was when we had that informational, had a chance to sit down, the councillors sit down with Police Chief Rich. I thought that was excellent. It was very eye-opening. It was, you know, extremely informative, which when we did it with the general population, you know, with the residents, I thought that was great. And going back to what Councillor Ingalls said, maybe having something that is when he comes in during budget time, or at least on an annual basis, having him available for that discussion. So it's more of like a annual thing versus, you know, that we're expecting, say, in the month of, and this is something that the new council have to talk about, is that it takes place in the month of May when they're doing the budgeting stuff, and which fits into his schedule to come and talk about things the police department has done in the past year. And so that I keep saying the population, the general public, the citizens of the town, have a real opportunity to hear the police chief talk about what's going on, you know, what's he doing to continue to improve the department, you know, and things that they're working on, as far as that a lot of times the public doesn't see. That's an opportunity. Like, I didn't know that some of the things they were doing relative to some of the residents who may have children with special needs, and having going over and do the visits, which was just excellent. You know, so we have a lot of good things that came out of that last meeting. Maybe just refreshing people every year does the same thing. the whole idea is to give people the opportunity to hear, talk to the police chief, and at least on a one-time basis, and also the ability to have, when he comes, just making sure that the council as a whole has a chance to have that discussion. You know what I'm saying? I'm just looking back at that discussion we had. It was very informative and had everybody there. Had we not done that, I would never had the conversation with the police chief, besides my general side conversations and things of that nature. But those downloads were just, I can't say enough good things about those discussions with the chief. And I'm trying to hope that moving forward, at least on an annual basis, something like that maybe will be still in place.
I actually talked with the chief about parking in the spiritual center. You know, that was a major issue for the tribe. I talked to him more than once about it, and he talked with his officers more than once about it. But I talked with them about that outside of this channel, just because it was a big deal. Yep. So that's just one of many things that I have talked with them in the past about us being and having a better police department. And I remember the years when we didn't have an independent department, and it was pretty rough. You know, I'll just stop there. It wasn't good. We have a good department now.
Yes, we do.
Not perfect, and there are things that always have to be worked on, but I'm willing to continue that work. But I'm not volunteering to be a liaison. I think I'm that anyway.
No, the liaison, no, that wasn't that. The concept was just having that discussion and not knowing how much background conversation was taking place, Councilor Soms. It may already be, you know, it may not even be a need if those conversations are taking place and information is being brought back to the council, and even the mayor is having a short discussion from time to time and saying, hey, you know what, talk to the police chief. Here's some of the things they're working on. You know, on an annual basis, he looks to come forward to the whole council and have the discussion about certain things, you know, that may be of top interest to the town. And that's it. It doesn't have to be there isn't a need for a liaison if we have enough people talking to them, type deal, or we already have a point of contact, Councilor Soms, such as yourself. You know, just the concern is for me is just making sure that someone has that point of contact as we move forward, be it whoever on the council. Okay. So with that being said, so much for a liaison. I don't think we need one, which is always good. And then the other thing was discussion, and I'm not sure if seeing we have a new set of counselors coming in and the body has changed. I had on here a discussion to discontinue the Community Relations Committee, because one of the things we try to do is talk about the services the town provides, making sure that if you come to the town, you're treated with respect. I think in fair treatment. I think we've succeeded at that. There's unfortunately our informational meetings we've had, unless it's a hot topic, the showing is very poor. So I'm not sure.
Well, the first one with the chief was really good, yes. But then it started to dwindle, and it's to the point that people didn't come to the last two. Correct.
So I'm not sure if going forward, recommend to the town council the discontinuation of the community relations at this point, or when the next council comes in, they take a look at what is going to be that next set of goals. Yeah, it's a 2-year run. What's the next set of goals? What is that plan? Okay, is the plan to do something where first we dealt with the town side of it, personnel, services from the town, and does it want to be expanded now to see what can be done to expand neighbor on neighbor relationships? That's a big topic. It's a tough topic. You know, when your neighbor doesn't like your neighbor for whatever reason, you know, having somebody come in, and we had talked about this, and I talked with the mayor. They were supposed to be getting something together in forms of a program. I'm not sure what the status of that has come, given the climate we're in right now.
I'm sorry, a program for neighbor-on-neighbor relations?
Well, not neighbor-on-neighbor relations.
Oh, okay.
It's a program. Well, because there's two parts of the community relations you can look at. There's the community relations as it relates to the town, which, as town councilors, as with the mayor, the ability to actually move that ball, because if we're having services that are being provided to one group and denied to another group, and they're all paying taxes, they all get the same services. Okay, that's easy to grab onto, understand, say, you can't do that. It's got to be fair and equitable with the services that are being provided by the town to the citizens of the town who live here and pay the taxes, or just by virtue of the fact you're a legal resident or residents, whatever it is, of the town of Legend. You're entitled to services. If you come through the town, you should be treated fairly.
Great. So we've had one issue that happened a couple of years ago that turned into a discussion with the tribe. We came to an agreement with the tribe on what we're going to do going forward, put it in policy. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard anything since. Mm-hmm. We haven't had any complaints. Not that there aren't, but they're not coming to us. And I think that, as I said before, people are not being treated right. There are all kinds of avenues. Social media, reaching out to counselors directly, writing letters to the town council, writing to the mayor, going to see the mayor. I mean, I've done that. I've gotten petitions together and gone to see the mayor. So I'm in favor of discontinuing the committee because I think the work we have done has been okay. Probably could have done more. Maybe we could have done less, but we accomplished some things, and now there seems very little interest in this committee.
I concur. Councilor Ingalls?
My thought is about it. Over this last year, what's become a little more clear to me is the question of who has jurisdiction over what. So the town council is a legislative body. The Board of Ed does what it does for the schools. The mayor does, the executive piece. And I think I'm sort of at a point, because we've had such a poor showing at the last couple of informational sessions. I almost feel like we're muddying the waters, just like a liaison could for the police. So if someone were to have a question about social services, let's say they have a frustration, they're experiencing some discrimination. Who do they come to? Do they come to us? We really don't have any authority over it. Right. So in that way, I feel like we're actually just confusing the issue. And so I think one of the best things we could probably do. Sorry, Roxanne, can you hear me?
Well, yes, but you were asking about social services, and actually the mayor appoints the social services board. So really, if someone was having a problem with social services, that would be where they should go. It would be to the mayor's office.
Right, and that's exactly my point.
The town council doesn't even appoint the social services board.
Right, yes,
so
thank you.
Go back to where you were saying, legislative, executive, and education. So that doesn't fall under council's purview.
Right. So I think that what we could do is still invite, if we were going to invite Chief Rich in, or invite some of the other department heads, but invite them to the full council. And again, make it an informational night. We could continue that work, certainly. But at this point, I feel like we're spinning the wheels of some of our employees. So yeah, I'm also in favor of dissolving the committee and taking another tack to make the lines of communication more clear, not less.
Okay, thank you. So if by consensus, I'll draft a document to the town council recommending that the community relations committee is recommending the discontinuation of the community relations committee, or we've completed our goal. So it's that we don't really discontinue it because it was here before we started.
So how about if I could, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to recommend the town council discontinue the Community Relations Committee as its work has been done. There is little attendance at ongoing meetings. And I think we should put a final report together, submit it to the council, and this is what we've done, and we think our work is done. And as Councilor, so that's my motion. I'll stop.
Councilor Soms, Councilor Ingalls, do I have a second?
Second.
So I think that's a really good idea, Andra, that future issues, and there will be future issues, will come to the council or the mayor, as we've been talking about, but also having a report to the full council by departments. We have other boards and committees and commissions do annual reports. And as we've said, the police department has in the past. So reports to the full council and airing of issues with the full council can be done going forward, just as we have always in the past. When something comes up, it's always referred to a committee to work on it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote. Councilor Soms?
I vote aye.
Councilor Ingalls?
Aye.
And Councilor Washington votes aye. I will write up the recommendation to the town council, and I will follow that up with a report of the committee. Yes, Roxanne.
Bullets, right? Just
Okay,
bullets.
so next week on the town council's agenda, do you want a motion to discontinue the Community Relations Committee?
Yes.
Do you want them to formally vote on that? Okay, I just want to make sure because I'll be doing the agenda tomorrow.
I think the proper word is dissolve.
Dissolve.
Dissolve. Okay. Okay.
Because when they brought the Community Relations Committee back, they said it was a standing committee with nobody in it, because they didn't create the committee. It seemed like it was already there. It already existed.
No, there was a community services
Okay.
committee,
Okay.
which was similar, and they dealt with police, fire, emergency service, all that. And their work kind of dried up. And so they were dissolved. And then the idea was to bring them back. And then we decided to call it community relations instead of community services.
Thank you. That being said, the number two item on the agenda was discussion and possible action regarding the transition of outstanding unfinished businesses items to be forwarded to the incoming Community Relations Committee. I think that's kind of moot.
Yeah.
Based on item number one.
Yep.
So.
I'd also comment that the last thing we were working to do was have a session with the fire departments.
Yes.
And at the same time, they were having their open houses. So people went to the open house at Gales Ferry in early October, and a couple of weeks ago, they had the open house at Ledyard. And those are annual matters or annual events, and pretty well attended.
Yes. Yes. Well, counselors, I guess this brings us to a close. Before I go for an adjournment, I just want to say congratulations to all three counselors for being reelected to the board. And I look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday.
And thank you, Mike, for your leadership and also for serving on the council. It's been a pleasure working with you.
It's
Likewise.
I can't say how much work everybody in the council does. And my success is directly related to the fact that I had a lot of people holding me up. so I could stay afloat. And I greatly appreciate that across the board.
Well, you have two amazing kids too. Your support for them has really been something to see. So
yeah,
congratulations to all.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah,
it's truly been a whirlwind.
Yeah. Good
all
luck.
That hard work is paying off, Mike.
Yes, thank gosh. Yes.
Finals or semifinals?
That's going to be. They're anticipating they're going to make. That'll be the semifinals on the 16th, 17th, and 18th. Those are the window periods.
Yeah.
They changed the system to allow more teams in. And so his goal is still to win a state championship and be an All-American.
That'd be awesome.
Hopefully, knock on wood, it's going to be competitive, but he should do well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. With that, without exception, I adjourn. Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, Roxanne,